Hello YouTube, it's the Thrifty Prepper. It's been a little while since I've done a video. I have a new baby, so he's keeping me kind of busy, and it just hasn't been a priority to make videos. So I did have something happen that made me want to jump in and post something, only because it was a bargain and it's a rarity. So I recently negotiated a knife trade just through a Craigslist posting. And when I first started prepping and I was choosing knives to go into some of my bags and things, I kept reading reviews, and basically more knives. Everybody talks about, for the price, for the convenience, the functionality, and the durability, you can't beat a Mora. So I bought like a 3-pack of Mora knives. One of them I've used a little bit, another ended up in the kitchen cabinet just to be used because they're good for, cutting chicken and whatnot. And another was sitting around doing nothing. So I found someone who was willing to do a swap for a Mora knife for a handful of 1 Victorinox Swiss Army knife and 3 Chinese knockoffs. The knockoffs, incidentally, I took them up on the deal, and that's the purpose of this video. The 3 knockoffs, absolute junk. This is just like something you would pick up at Walmart for $5. It will eventually break itself into little pieces. And then 2 clones of just Chinese fakes of the Victorinox classics. They're both junk as well. I don't even know if the blades could be sharpened. But what I'm gonna do with these 3 is use them as experimental modifications to a Swiss Army knife instead of ruining a Swiss Army knife. So, for example, on this one, if you see on the other side, I used a silver vinyl adhesive paper, and I'm going to just carry this around in my pocket for a few days and see how this vinyl holds up to being banged around, because you can get them in all kinds of different colors and carbon fiber and different stuff. So I thought I might dress up more of a beater Victorinox. If I get another one that's in a little rough condition but good tools on it, I can customize it. So I got those 3 knives, but here is the real kicker. Behold, a 1969 Victorinox Champion. So this knife is discontinued. It is the predecessor to what is currently the Swiss Champ. So in 1968, this was the Cadillac of Swiss Army knives. And two things that it took me a couple of hours of research to find out exactly what the model was and approximately the age. And I narrowed it down that the ring that is on, the blades are all open to save time showing you what's on it. But this is referred to as a bail. And they stopped doing those in 1968, and then this particular configuration was out in 1968. And then the blade stamping on it says Victoria Officer Suisse, and I believe on the other side it just says Victorinox. I'll see in a second. So it's in real good condition. It's got some pocket wear. There are scratches in the scales, but it's just character, really. Oh, and another thing, the Victorinox shield is done in sort of a gold color, sort of a brass or gold inlay, instead of white enamel or the silver that's common on them. So anyway, I want to do a quick rundown of the tools. So it has sort of the standards. It has the long blade, and I'm just going to close them as I go through them because I like to show off how much snap this knife still has to be 48 years old. So that was the long blade. It's got short blade also in the older models. It has that clip point, which is like a miniature Bowie looking blade. We have this is a fish scaler. I don't do a lot of fishing, but the rounded tooth edge is useful for a lot of things, like holding a pencil in place and doing straight line work. The forked end of it there is good for pulling staples and so forth. So although I don't fish, that's a cool tool to have on there. Also has a good straight edge for like drawing a straight line or cut. You could probably cut against it. Okay, moving on. It has a long file with a 3-sided file and different textures on all 3 edges. It has a saw blade, and I have the same saw blade on a Victorinox Farmer, and I've cut through a number of things with that. These are excellent saw blades. It has your cap lifter, wire stripper, flathead screwdriver. The can opener and Phillips or small flathead screwdriver. Oh, and something else that was done on older models. On the bottle opener, there's no way I'll get the zoom on it, but this inner edge, this curved edge, also has sort of a chisel grind, so it's slightly sharp. And I guess that would be like for trimming wire, maybe, instead of stripping wire, just trimming it. I'm not certain, but it does have a sharpened edge. Awesome pair of scissors, and the scissors, it's an older model. There's a screw, so you can adjust the tension on these scissors. The modern ones do not have that. On the flip side, Phillips head screwdriver, and one of the old style awls that does not have a thread hole through it, but super sharp edge on this. You can strike a ferro rod with it easily. And then my favorite tool on this thing, they don't make these anymore. This is a very long, slim nail file, and the tip is pointed to, the idea is to clean beneath a nail, but other applications are, like you could use this to put a pinpoint on a map, put a string from it with a pencil and do like a diameter or circumference circle around it. I mean, that's one application. There's lots of other things you can do with it. I was threading some paracord through something and I was able to push it through the hole with this. But just super strong, slim poker tool with a file on it. I really like it. So there is the 1968 Champion Victorinox. Oh, it also has obviously toothpick and tweezers, and one other point to the age of the knife. The tweezers have a steel head instead of a plastic head, and these things are still a great pair of tweezers. Good tension, they're not bent, they're in great shape. So, I mean, had I been looking for this particular knife, I don't know if I could have found one in this good condition, and certainly not to trade it for a new Mora. All right, so my first thoughts when it came out of the box was, man, this thing's worth a heck of a lot more than I traded for it. I bet I could resell it to a collector or to some other Victorinox enthusiast just because of the rarity. And then upon further research, I realized it was born the same year I was, and it's still hanging in there doing a good job and kicking it every day. So I am keeping this one. This is going to be one of my new favorite carry knives because it has so much on it. And it really has kind of inspired a new appreciation and love for Swiss Army knives. So I'm afraid my knife addiction has taken a turn for the Swiss. So in celebration of that, I used a handful of the tools on it, and I made myself a pretty cool sheath. And there it is. Okay, so this is constructed just from a piece of an old belt that came on probably on a pair of cargo pants. It's stitched and lashed together here, but as you can see, it's just folded over 3 times, like kind of like an S. I used the owl to put holes through to match through these riveted holes and through the front. Ran some paracord through it and put a spring stopper on the cord. And then I used one of the D-rings from the belt buckle at the bottom, which is nothing more than a lashing point at the bottom of the sheath. And then I attached adhesive Velcro and put a few stitches through that. So, to kind of show how it works, And I did the Velcro so I don't have to take my belt off to take the sheath off. So the Velcro just matches right up. There it is. The knife slips right in. And obviously it's exposed on the sides, but I don't really care. It's just a trail knife to have with me anyway. And then the lanyard I put on the knife is a hangman's noose, so it slides. Now, when I have this in the sheath, if hiking and not using the knife for a bit, I can tighten this down, take the lanyard loop and put it over, cinch it up, and now my knife's not going anywhere. Not bad. Pretty thrifty. Okay, so hopefully now I'm on the prowl. So I'm combing eBay and Craigslist and other places looking for other models of Swiss Army knives, because now it's in my blood. So keep an eye out for further bargain finds, Swiss Army knife reviews, and I'm kind of into fabricating my own sheaths and pocket carriers now. In fact, here's a preview. Maybe I'll do another video on this right away. I know it looks rough, but it's my first attempt at it. I see all of these EDC pocket holders for different things, all these custom sheaths and everything, and they're outrageously priced. So I just made one out of some vinyl and Kevlar thread for a little San Renmu pocket knife, Fisher Space Pen, and a small flashlight. So that was pretty easy to do. In fact, I'm not even going to do a separate video on this, but you see how it's put together? With practice, it would look better. But there that is, a little pocket EDC pouch. I've been carrying it around for a few days, and I'm surprised how comfortable it is to have those three things in my pocket and not banging against each other. In fact, I've never carried this San Renmu as much as I like it, because it's just a great size little knife. You know, non-threatening, super sharp, good blade on it. I've always liked it, but I didn't want to carry it around because the scales are so cool. They have like this little red and silver kind of gear wheel look to it. It's a good looking knife and I like it a lot, but I've never carried it because I didn't want it to get scuffed up in my pocket. But now, that's not a problem. All right, that's it for today, guys. Good talking to you again. Hopefully I find the time to continue doing some more videos, because I have been doing different items and gear and finding cool stuff all this time. There's some things I'd like to add to my channel. So as everyone says, you know, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. If you'd like to, please do. I'm not building a big channel here. I'm not doing product endorsements or making money from it. It's just a hobby. So that would be all I have to cover. All right, keep on prepping.